Long ago, in a world where people had forgotten God, there lived a man named Noah. Noah was righteous, kind, and wise. He loved God with all his heart and always tried to do what was right, even when everyone else ignored God's ways. While others argued, fought, and grew selfish, Noah worked hard, cared for his family, and listened to God's teachings. One day, God spoke to Noah. "Noah," he said, "I have seen that the world is full of wickedness. People have turned away from me and chosen evil over goodness. I am going to send a great flood to cleanse the earth. But you, Noah, are righteous. Build an ark, a great boat, so that you, your family, and 2 of every kind of animal will be safe from the waters." Noah did not hesitate. He told his family, "God has asked us to build an ark. We must obey no matter what others say." His wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, all agreed. They knew that God's word was true. Even so, the task ahead was enormous. The neighbors laughed at Noah. "Noah, what are you doing? It hasn't rained in years. This is useless." But Noah simply smiled and said, "God has spoken. We must obey and trust him." Day after day, Noah and his family worked tirelessly. He measured, sawed, and hammered the massive beams of wood. The ark slowly began to take shape. It was enormous, long, tall, and wide, and strong enough to float on the coming flood. Birds flew overhead, watching curiously. Small animals peeked from the trees as if they knew something extraordinary was happening. Noah's sons learned to work carefully, carrying heavy beams, sanding rough edges, and helping guide the construction. Even when their arms grew tired and their hands blistered, they never complained. Noah reminded them, "We are doing this because we love God and trust his plan. One day we will see his promise come true." When the ark was ready, God instructed Noah to gather the animals. One by one, they appeared from forests, fields, and mountains. 2 by 2, a lion and a lioness, an elephant and her calf, birds of every color, rabbits, bears, snakes, and more, all came to the ark. Noah and his family gently guided each animal inside, making sure they were comfortable and safe. His sons learned how to care for them, feeding and calming the animals, even the frightened ones. Once the animals were aboard, God spoke to Noah again. "The flood is coming. Take your family and enter the ark. Be safe, for I will protect you." Noah and his family stepped inside, watching the skies darken. At first, the rain was soft, a gentle drizzle. But soon the clouds grew heavy and dark, and the rain fell harder and harder. Thunder rumbled and lightning flashed across the sky. The waters began to rise, flooding valleys, fields, and villages. People who had ignored God watched in fear as the floods grew, but Noah and his family were safe inside the ark. Inside, life was busy, but calm. Noah's family cared for the animals, feeding them and making sure each one had water. Birds chirped happily, lions roared softly, and even the snakes coiled peacefully. Noah prayed every day, thanking God for his protection and guidance. The family also spent time teaching the younger animals and each other lessons of faith, patience, and kindness. "Remember," Noah said to his sons, "God watches over all of us. Even when the storm seems scary, we must trust him." Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The floodwaters covered the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Outside, the world was covered in water, but inside, Noah's ark was a place of safety, love, and hope. One day, Noah sent a raven out of the ark to see if the land was dry. The raven flew back and forth, but there was nowhere to rest. Then he sent a dove. The dove returned with a fresh olive leaf in its beak. Noah knew that the waters were going down and that life was returning to the earth. When the ark finally came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, Noah and his family prepared to leave. They opened the ark doors and stepped outside into a world renewed by God's mercy. Everything was fresh and clean. The grass was green, flowers bloomed, rivers sparkled, and animals wandered freely. God spoke to Noah, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and take care of it. I promise that I will never again destroy the earth with a flood." Then God placed a rainbow in the sky, its colors bright and beautiful, as a sign of his promise and love for all living creatures. Noah and his family celebrated. They planted gardens, built homes, and taught their children the lessons they had learned: to obey God, to care for others, to be patient, and to trust in God's plan. Whenever they saw a rainbow, they remembered Noah's story, the great ark, the faithful family, the animals, and the power of faith and obedience. And so Noah's story reminds us that even in times of fear and uncertainty, trusting God, being kind, and doing what is right will always lead to safety, hope, and a bright future.